In this video, we're going to earn 1 million dinars in less than 1 year using only mechanics a brand new player could handle. Let's jump right into it. Beginning with Batanian culture. The starting location is extremely important, and the forced movement speed bonus can come in handy when trying to avoid fights. For the character build, we want to choose smiths for the family option, your skill with horses for early childhood, gathered herbs in the wild for adolescence, trained with the Hearthguard for youth, and you had a famous escapade in town for young adult. If you're playing on sandbox mode, you can pick whatever age you want, with older giving more points to boost up our character, but also giving us less time to be alive. If you're playing campaign, then you'll have a 6th option to pick from and get stuck at 20 years old. The biggest issue with campaign mode is the starting location is near Poros, so be prepared to take a ride up north to Batanian lands and miss out on those really good early game deals. And for all the doubters, we're playing on Bannerlord difficulty. In sandbox mode, we start out near Maranoth, but for campaign mode, again, you'll have to ride north a couple days to get there, and you'll miss out on these early deals. First order of business is to spend our focus points, which we dump everything into smithing and another attribute into endurance. Next, we head to the shop to sell our gear. All clothing and armor is sold. Weapons are moved to the inventory so we can smelt them down later. Don't forget about the civilian gear too. Next, we go to the trade goods screen, scroll down to the bottom, and buy all the hogs. In this case, 38 of them. Now we need to exit the shop and go back in, which will allow us the option to slaughter them. With the pigs converted into trade goods, we sell everything, and we're now sitting at 4,000 dinars. Not a bad start. Next, we need to head north up to Seanan, where we'll be spending several days. First order of business is to buy all the hardwood available. It's barely 1,000 dinars for all this hardwood.
Nice.
Next, we check the tavern for a companion. We don't care what kind. We just need somebody with a pulse. They get the same treatment. Strip them down, sell everything they've got but the weapons, which we need to smelt down. Now we need to buy some starting weapons to smelt down for crafting materials. As a rule of thumb, buy any weapon that costs 200 dinars or less. We want the crappy ones that give crappy crafting materials, which can actually be used because we only have crappy crafting parts for now. Don't forget to check the bottom of the shield and ranged weapons tab. Snap up all those juicy throwing daggers. So we have a ton of weapons to smelt and hardwood to refine and a companion to help us accomplish this task. Each time we take any smithing action, it will cost our character some stamina points. Stamina can only be recovered by resting inside a town, castle, or a bandit hideout. Traveling on the map does not regenerate stamina. To regenerate from 0 back to 100%, we need to wait 75% of a day. So to start, we need to convert all the hardwood into charcoal, but be sure to look out for level 25 smithing and stop. We take the efficient charcoal maker perk, allowing us to get 3 charcoal per 2 hardwood instead of only 1 charcoal. It's a huge difference. Next, we need to smelt down all the weapons we purchased. With everything smelted, we can now craft our first weapon. Click the free build button in the top right, select the two-handed sword in the bottom right, and we will now select our weapon parts. Easily enough, we have only 1 part unlocked for each of the 4 categories, but we do want to increase the part size to the max for each. This will help increase the selling price most of the time. We can only afford to make 2 for now, but that's not a problem. Now we go back to the smelt screen and smelt these weapons back down. A couple things are happening here. It costs 4 wrought iron and 2 crude iron to craft this weapon, but we get back 3 wrought iron and 3 crude iron back when we smelt it. We lose 1 of the highest tier crafting material and get back 1 extra of the second highest crafting material back. So there is some loss when crafting and smelting the same item. After a short rest, we're ready to repeat, but this time we check the parts list to see if anything better unlocked. The globe pommel is a huge increase in damage, which generally gives more XP and faster part unlocking, so we swap the pommel out. While we're resting, it can help to check the shop for new weapons to purchase. Each day that goes by, more items will add back into the shop, as well as replenishing the town's dinar balance. We purchase a few more cheap weapons and sell one of our crafted ones to make sure we don't go bankrupt. After a few cycles of crafting and smelting, we've now got our second blade unlocked. Now we'll do what's called the A/B test. We'll craft 2 weapons that have identical parts except for the blades. This is important because we can't memorize all the parts in the game, and we need an efficient way to find out which parts are best for unlocking things faster. In this case, one of the blades sells for more than double, and since XP is directly related to selling price, we want to stick with the expensive blade moving forward until we unlock more parts. We won't know which blades will unlock first within each tier so it's good to know how to find which are best at each level on your own. Now we go back to spamming the new recipe, smelting them back down, and repeating. We've reached level 50 smithing on our main character. We want to take Curious Smelter for now because it's incredibly important to unlocking parts faster. The basic formula for smithing unlocks is this. If crafting a weapon gives 10 XP, then smelting that same weapon would give 20 XP, and adding this perk would give 40 XP. As you can see, the majority of XP is earned from smelting, and having this perk is key. A few more days have passed, and we've finally gotten through unlocking all tier 1 parts, and the first tier 2 part has shown up. We add it to the weapon and craft away. Now we've unlocked 2 tier 2 blades, and it's time to A/B test to see which ones we can spam out. They both sell for within 100 dinars of each other, so either would be acceptable. Don't forget to swap out other components to tier 2 as soon as they unlock as well. It all adds up.
What the f*** is that?
It won't be too long before we run out of crafting materials, so be sure to visit the shop to buy more weapons and sell a couple crafted ones to stay afloat. Our companion now has the 25 charcoal perk as well, which will free up our main character to do more important tasks. A couple things to note here. Buying wooden hammers and pitchforks will yield much more charcoal than is used to smelt them down. So if a town does not have any hardwood, these 2 items can be bought to supplement instead. This will come in handy later once we leave Botania. We've reached level 75 smithing on our main, and once again we take the perk that increases unlock rate, this time for crafting. It's not as good as smelting, but it all helps. While I don't want to give specific weapon parts to look for when it comes to lower tier crafts, I do want to point out one thing about the blade. These curved swords sell for significantly more than the straight edged ones for some reason, so be on the lookout for any curved blades. You can A/B test them to confirm if you don't believe me. And now things start to go a lot faster. We've reached 100 smithing on our main character and take Experienced Smith for the extra bonus rolls. These weapons will sell for more and be more useful in combat, and we can take the other perk later on one of our companions. Once again, we've unlocked the first couple of parts for tier 3 weapons. They do require high-end crafting materials, so we are limited now with how many we can make. We also have no more need for the lower tier crafting materials and have a nice stockpile of charcoal, so we can refine crude iron into wrought iron. We've gotten our first tier 3 blade and repeat the same process. Fortunately, it just gets easier from here. It's rinse and repeat. One thing we should be doing at each town we stop at is competing in tournaments. They're free if we don't wager any money, and we need the renown since we don't earn any from being a smith. It's time to start heading to the Empire towns, but first we stop at the local village nearby to top up on hardwood. Epicrodia is the closest town, so we head there next. Once again, we buy hardwood, all the daggers they have, and get back to crafting and smelting. We need to buy nicer daggers, which cost more, so be sure to sell a few crafted weapons from time to time. Epicrodia has been drained, it's time to move on to Diathma next. Now we can start buying Pugio, as well as the Tribesman daggers. These both smelt down for very high-end crafting materials, even though they only cost a couple hundred dinars each. Don't forget to check the tavern at each town for more companions. The more the merrier. With these handful of strategies, buying shop weapons to smelt, the A/B test, the craft smelt cycle, and selling a few crafts, we have everything we need to unlock every two-handed sword part in the game. We simply need to travel to each Empire town to buy up all the daggers and hardwood to continue the process. Oh, before I forget, the curved blades are also better for the tier 3 weapons, so try to use those. One cool tip, if we pick up a companion that has a crappy perk, we can go to any tournament master and talk to him to reset their perks. It costs some dinars, but we have infinite money at this point, so it's not a big deal. This companion didn't have the efficient charcoal perk, so we reset them and pick the correct one. Once our companions reach 50 and level 75, we'll want to take the Steelmaker perks in order to have the option to refine materials into the ones that we need the most. So we've picked up our 4th companion, went to several Empire towns to buy all the available daggers, and made our way back to Seinon for the hardwood stockpiles. We have more than enough materials here to make 2 to 3 million dinars, although we'll be stopping at 1 million for this guide. We spent a few days refining hardwood and smelting everything down. One thing I did forget to mention before, be sure each companion has a mount to ride and a spare pack animal to increase the party movement speed and carry capacity respectively. Companions do get movement speed bonus even if they ride pack animals, so if they don't have riding skill, just give them a mule or a sumpter horse. That means with 4 people in the party, we should have exactly 4 pack animals. It's easy to become overburdened, so don't hesitate to hire some spare troops and give them mounts to ride as well if we need to. We've finally done it, we've struck gold. This tier 4 pointed falchion blade is the main target we're looking for. Once you unlock this bad boy, stop everything and switch into spam money printer mode. Because we bought all the daggers in each town, we have over 250 wrought iron and regular iron, and we pick parts that only use these materials, meaning we can make nearly 100 of these things. We won't be smelting these anymore, so hang on to them. Notice each one sells for roughly 8,000 dinars, but we can craft 2 for every 3 crappy daggers we buy, at a cost of 600 dinars or so. If we add in the cost of a couple dinars for each charcoal, it's essentially an 8-to-1 return on our investment, which should probably be illegal.
They warned me Satan would be attractive.
Now we put on our best business suit and travel to each town, selling our overpriced weapons and take every last dinar they have. This process is repeated, stopping only when we run low on inventory, and craft up another batch. We reach Jalmares on the 16th of winter, 1084, which is just under 60 days. We sell the final batch of weapons and reach the 1 million dinar goal we set out to achieve. For reference, 1 year in Bannerlord is 84 days, so we smashed our goal by a wide margin, and 2 to 3 million dinars can easily be achieved within the first year. We still have tons of inventory to sell and craft. Our main character reached level 10 and almost hit 180 smithing. At this point, we could easily spend our focus points on whatever the next stage of our campaign will be, such as a combat, trading, or leading an army. The world is our oyster. If this guide was a bit too fast for your liking, click this video here to see a full walkthrough guide where I discuss in great detail everything we covered here and a little bit more. Thanks as always to the lovely channel members and Patreon supporters who helped me survive financial hardship like squirrels eating my internet cable. You all rock. Because we only have crap now has 25 charcoal